You want to know about humans? Really? You are sitting there with your three eyes blinking at me, expecting some grand tale of heroism and nobility? Fine. Let me tell you about Captain Marcus Reeve. Let me tell you about the day I learned that humans are absolutely certifiably, gloriously insane. My name is Vorthan. I am a Quellan, which means I have survived approximately 243 cycles in this universe. That is a long time, friend. Long enough to see empires rise and fall, long enough to watch species come and go, and definitely long enough to know when I am looking at something that should not exist. Humans, as it turns out, should not exist, but they do. Oh, they very much do. The incident I am about to describe happened 6 cycles ago, during what we call the Veridian conflict. Stupid name, I know. The whole thing was stupid. We, the Quellan Empire, were expanding our territory as empires tend to do. The humans had decided that a particular section of space, specifically the Veridian corridor, belonged to them. They said it was theirs by right of discovery. We said it was ours by right of being there first. Standard territorial dispute. Happens all the time in the galaxy. What does not happen all the time? What happened next? The humans sent a single ship to defend their claim. One ship. The Valkyrie Dawn, they called it. A mid-sized frigate, maybe 300 meters long, crew of 78 souls. We sent an entire battle group. 12 warships, each one larger than their pathetic little frigate, each one armed with enough firepower to crack a moon in half. We thought this would be quick, clean, efficient. We thought they would take one look at our fleet, tuck their tails between their legs and run back to whatever rock they crawled out from. We thought wrong. I was serving on the battlecruiser Infinite Reach at the time. Second tactical officer, which is a fancy way of saying I watched screens and pushed buttons when someone more important told me to. Our commander, High Admiral Quellan, was a traditionalist. He liked clean battles, proper formations, everything by the book. He sent them a message first, giving them a chance to surrender. Standard protocol. Civilized warfare, you understand? Captain Marcus Reeve responded within 30 seconds. His face appeared on our main view screen, and I remember thinking he looked remarkably calm for someone who was about to die. Humans are strange-looking creatures, you know. 2 eyes, flat faces, these odd patches of fur on their heads. This one had dark fur on his face, what they call a beard, and these bright blue eyes that seemed to look right through our shields and into your soul. He wore their military uniform, all pressed and proper, with these little metal pins on his chest that apparently meant something important to them. "High Admiral Quellan," he said, his voice steady and clear. "I acknowledge receipt of your surrender demand. I must respectfully decline." Our admiral laughed. Actually laughed. I remember the sound echoing through the bridge, this deep, rumbling noise that made the junior officers shuffle their feet nervously. "Captain Reeve," the admiral said, still chuckling. "Perhaps you did not understand. You are facing 12 warships. You have one. The mathematics are not in your favor." Marcus Reeve smiled. Not a nervous smile, not a desperate smile. A genuine, almost amused smile. "Admiral," he said, "I understand the mathematics perfectly. However, I have something you do not have." "And what is that?" the admiral asked, his laughter fading. "A really, really bad day," the captain replied. Then he cut the transmission. We should have known right then. We should have recognized the warning signs. But we did not. We were Quellan, proud and powerful, and they were humans, small and weak. We proceeded with the attack. The Valkyrie Dawn moved first, which surprised us. Standard doctrine when facing superior forces is to wait, defend, try to survive. They did none of that. Their engines flared bright white, their shields came up to maximum power, and they came straight at us. Not away, not to the side, straight at us. Insane, someone muttered on the bridge. I agreed. Our lead ships opened fire, particle beams and plasma torpedoes filling the void with enough energy to vaporize a small asteroid. The Valkyrie Dawn dodged, I do not mean they avoided some of the shots. I mean they dodged all of them. Their ship twisted and spun through space like a leaf in a hurricane, moving in ways that should have torn their hull apart from the stress, burning their engines hot enough to leave trails of ionized gas in their wake. How are they doing that? Our sensor officer demanded, his tentacles flailing in confusion. G-forces should be liquefying their crew, I said, checking my readings 3 times because I could not believe what I was seeing. They are pulling 17 standard gravities on some of those turns. Impossible, the sensor officer said. Tell that to them, I replied. The Valkyrie Dawn closed the distance impossibly fast, weaving between our ships like a needle through cloth. They fired their weapons, these primitive kinetic rounds they call railguns, and every shot counted. They were not trying to destroy our ships. They were targeting specific systems. Sensor arrays, communication relays, weapon emplacements, surgical strikes, each one carefully placed to cause maximum disruption with minimum effort. They are fighting smart, I said, grudging respect creeping into my voice. They are fighting desperate, our admiral corrected. All ships converge on target. Box them in. End this. We moved to comply, our 12 ships forming a sphere on the Valkyrie Dawn, cutting off all escape routes. This was it. They had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. We had them trapped. Victory was certain. That is when Captain Reeve activated his communications again. Admiral, he said, and I noticed his uniform was no longer perfect. There was a cut on his forehead, blood running down the side of his face, and the bridge behind him was lit by emergency lighting. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. His ship was dying, and he knew it. I need to inform you of something important. Surrender terms? The Admiral asked, confident in his victory. Not exactly, Marcus Reeve said. His smile was back, but this time it was different. This time it was the smile of someone who had just decided to do something incredibly stupid and was completely at peace with that decision. Did you know that human ships carry something called a fusion core? Of course, the Admiral said, waving a dismissive tentacle. All advanced species use fusion power. What of it? Well, the captain continued, almost conversational now. Our fusion cores have this interesting safety feature. If the containment fails, the whole thing goes critical. Makes quite an explosion. Big enough to take out everything within, let us say 3 kilometers. Maybe 4 if the conditions are right. I felt my blood run cold. 3 kilometers. We had surrounded their ship. Our closest vessels were less than 2 kilometers away. You are bluffing, the Admiral said, but his voice had lost its confidence. Am I? Marcus Reeve asked. Here is the thing about humans, Admiral. We have a saying. It goes like this. If I am going down, I am taking you with me. He paused, letting that sink in. My ship is crippled. My crew is injured. We have maybe 10 minutes before our life support fails completely. But my fusion core? That is working perfectly. And I have just disabled every safety protocol we have. You will kill yourself, the Admiral said. Yes, the captain agreed. Yes, I will. And I will kill all of you too, unless you back off. Right now, all ships beyond 10 kilometers. You have 60 seconds to comply. The bridge of the infinite reach erupted into chaos. Officers were shouting, sensors were going crazy, and the Admiral was standing there, frozen, trying to decide if this human was actually insane enough to follow through. I can tell you now, with the benefit of hindsight, that Captain Marcus Reeve was absolutely that insane. He is bluffing, one of our tactical officers insisted. No species would commit suicide just to spite an enemy. He is human, I said quietly. That changes things. The Admiral looked at me, 3 eyes wide with something I had never seen before in a Quellan of his rank. Fear, pure, undiluted fear. Explain, he demanded. I have studied them, sir, I said. Humans have a concept they call mutually assured destruction. They built weapons on their home world powerful enough to destroy their entire planet, aimed them at each other, and then promised that if anyone attacked, everyone would die, and they lived like that for decades. They are comfortable with extinction as a defensive strategy. That is insane, the Admiral said. That is human, I corrected. 30 seconds had passed. The Valkyrie Dawn was still sitting there, shields fluctuating, hull breached in multiple sections, but that fusion core burning bright and hot on our sensors. Marcus Reeve appeared on screen again. 30 seconds left, Admiral, he said cheerfully, as if he was discussing the weather and not his imminent death. I should mention, just so we are clear, that I have programmed our automated systems to complete the overload sequence if anything happens to me. So shooting me will not help. Neither will shooting my ship. The moment our hull integrity drops below 10%, the core goes critical automatically. It is what we humans call a dead man's switch. Clever, right? You are mad, the Admiral whispered. Maybe, Marcus Reeve admitted. Or maybe I just care more about stopping you than I care about surviving. Hard to say, really. 15 seconds, by the way. Better start moving. That is when the Admiral broke. I saw it happen. His tentacles wilted, his posture slumped, and he gestured weakly at the navigation officer. All ships, he said, his voice hollow. Retreat to 10 kilometers. Maintain targeting solutions, but do not fire. Our fleet scattered like frightened fish, every ship burning their engines at maximum power to get clear of the blast radius. We made it with seconds to spare. 10.2 kilometers, our sensors reported. Just barely safe. Marcus Reeve watched us retreat, that same calm expression on his face. Thank you, Admiral, he said. Now, here is what is going to happen next. You are going to leave this system, all of you, right now, and you are never coming back. Unacceptable, the Admiral said, trying to regain some dignity. We outnumber you 12-1. True, the captain agreed. But I only need to get close to one of you. Just one. And then we both die, and you still have 11 ships to explain the loss to your superiors. How many ships are you willing to trade for this corridor, Admiral? 2? 3? All 12? He leaned forward, those blue eyes intense. Because I promise you this, I will take as many of you with me as I possibly can. Every single human ship you face in this war will do the same. We will make every battle a potential suicide mission. We will make you pay for every meter of space with your ships and your lives. Is the Veridian corridor worth that price? The bridge was silent, absolutely silent. Every officer was looking at the Admiral, waiting for his decision. I watched his face cycle through emotions. Anger, frustration, fear, and finally, resignation. How long? He asked quietly. How long what? Marcus Reeve asked. How long will it take you to repair your ship enough to leave? The human captain glanced off screen, apparently consulting with someone. 8 hours, he said. Maybe 10 if we have trouble with the port engine. You have 12 hours, the Admiral said. Then we return. And if you are still here, deal or no deal, we will destroy you from maximum range. Agreed? Deed? Marcus Reeve nodded slowly. Agreed. Thank you for your mercy, Admiral. Mercy, the Admiral repeated bitterly. Is that what you call it? He cut the transmission before the human could respond. We withdrew, our mighty fleet retreating from a single damaged frigate. And I remember thinking that this was the most humiliating moment of my career. But I was also thinking something else. I was thinking that maybe, just maybe, humans were not the weak, primitive species we thought they were. Maybe they were something far more dangerous. We monitored the Valkyrie Dawn from a distance, watching as they scrambled to make repairs. Their crew worked with desperate efficiency, patching hull breaches, rerouting power, coaxing their damaged engines back to life. It took them 9 hours and 42 minutes, well within the Admiral's deadline. When they finally limped out of the system, their ship trailing debris and leaking atmosphere, Marcus Reeve sent us one final message. Just 2 words. Thank you. Not a taunt, not a boast, just genuine gratitude, as if he actually appreciated the fact that we had let him live, as if we had done him a favor by not forcing him to kill himself and take half our fleet with him. The humans pulled the same tactic 7 more times during the war. 7 times, human captains threatened mutually assured destruction. 7 times we backed down. By the 4th incident, High Command issued new protocols. If a human ship appears willing to self-destruct, retreat immediately. Do not engage at close range. Do not give them the opportunity to take you with them. We lost the Veridian conflict, not because humans had better ships or superior weapons. We lost because they were willing to die in ways we simply could not comprehend. They weaponized their own mortality, turned suicide into a strategic advantage, and forced us to treat every damaged, desperate human ship as a potential apocalypse waiting to happen. I saw Marcus Reeve one more time years after the war ended. There was a diplomatic conference, one of those tedious affairs where former enemies pretend to be friends and sign treaties that everyone knows will be broken eventually. He was there as part of the human delegation, older now with gray in his beard and more scars than I remembered. I approached him during a break in the proceedings, unable to resist the opportunity. "Captain Reeve," I said. He turned, recognized me, and smiled. That same calm, slightly amused smile. "Officer Vorthen," he said, "I remember you. You were on the Infinite Reach." "I was," I confirmed. "I have a question, if you do not mind." "Ask." "That day in the Veridian corridor. Would you really have done it? Would you really have destroyed your ship and killed yourself and your crew just to take us with you?" He looked at me for a long moment, those blue eyes thoughtful. Then he leaned in close enough that I could smell the strange scent of human biology, and he whispered, "What do you think?" I thought about it. I thought about the way he had smiled, the way he had remained calm, the way he had threatened extinction as casually as ordering lunch. "I think you would have," I said finally. Marcus Reeve straightened up, his smile widening. "Then you understand humans better than most of your people." He clapped me on the shoulder, which is apparently a friendly gesture in human culture, and walked away. "I am telling you this story because you need to understand what humans are. They are not the strongest species. They are not the smartest. They do not have the best technology or the largest fleets. But they have something that makes them more dangerous than any weapon we have ever created. They have the absolute conviction that some things are worth dying for. And more importantly, they have the willingness to make sure that if they die, you die too. You want to go to war with humans? You want to test their resolve? Then you better be prepared to pay a price that might not be worth paying. Because humans invented a very special kind of warfare. They call it mutually assured destruction. We call it insanity. But whatever you call it, it works. Captain Marcus Reeve went down with his ship that day. Not literally, not in the end, but in spirit. He was willing to do it. That willingness, that absolute certainty, that complete absence of self-preservation when it comes to defending what they believe in, that is what makes humans terrifying. They will go down with the ship, friend, and they will take you with them. Every single time. The war ended 3 cycles after the Veridian corridor incident. The peace treaty was signed in a neutral station, overseen by the Galactic Council, with all the pomp and ceremony that such occasions demand. The humans sent a large delegation. Military officers, diplomats, scientists, even some civilians who apparently served some important political function. We sent an equally impressive group, admirals, council members, resource allocators. Everyone who was anyone was there. But I noticed something interesting during the treaty signing. The human military officers, the ones who had actually fought in the war, were different from their diplomat counterparts. The diplomats smiled, shook tentacles, spoke in soft, measured tones about cooperation and mutual benefit and lasting peace. Standard diplomatic nonsense. But the military officers, they stood straight, eyes forward, faces neutral. and they watched us with this quiet intensity that made my scales itch. They were not celebrating peace. They were remembering war. And they were making absolutely certain we remembered it too. I spoke with another human captain during the reception afterward. Captain Elena Vasquez, commander of the destroyer Hammer of Dawn. She had a reputation, that one. She had pulled the suicide card 3 separate times during the conflict, twice successfully, once resulting in the actual loss of her ship and 17 crew members before she was rescued. She stood alone near a viewport, watching the stars, holding a glass of some amber liquid that humans apparently enjoy poisoning themselves with. "Captain Vasquez," I said, approaching carefully. She glanced at me, nodded once. "Officer Vorthen." I read the reports. "You were on the Infinite Reach during the first incident." I was. "Marcus is a good man," she said, turning back to the viewport. "He made the right call that day." "Did he?" I asked. "He nearly died. His entire crew nearly died." "For what?" "A corridor of empty space." She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the same thing I had seen in Marcus Reeve's eyes. That absolute certainty. That unwavering conviction. "It was not about the corridor," she said quietly. "It was about the principle. You tried to take something that was ours. If we had backed down, if we had run, what would you have taken next? And next? And next? So you would have died for a principle," I said. "Yes," she replied simply. "And I would have made sure you understood the cost of pushing us. That is the only language bullies understand. Not diplomacy. Not reason. Cost. Make it expensive enough, painful enough, and eventually even bullies learn to leave you alone. That is a brutal philosophy," I observed. She smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "We are a brutal species, Officer Vorthen. We evolved on a brutal world. Everything on our planet tried to kill us. The weather, the animals, the plants, even the diseases. We survived because we learned to fight back harder than anything fighting us. We learned that sometimes the only way to win is to make sure that losing is so catastrophic for everyone involved that nobody wants to risk it. Mutually assured destruction," I said. "Exactly," she confirmed. "It kept us from destroying ourselves with nuclear weapons. It ended the Cold War. It has been a cornerstone of human strategic thinking for over 300 years. And now? Now?" She gestured at the treaty signing ceremony happening in the hall behind us. "Now it has given us peace with you." I thought about that for a moment. "You know what the terrifying thing is?" I said. "No. I believe you, all of you. Every human captain who threatened self-destruction, I believe you would have actually done it. That should not be possible. That level of commitment to death should not exist in a sapient species." "And yet here we are," Elena said, raising her glass in a mock toast. "Alive, victorious, and terrifying. And I will drink to that." Next, she drank deeply from her glass, and I watched her with a mixture of respect, fear, and something that might have been admiration. Humans were insane. Absolutely, certifiably insane. But they were also strategic, intelligent, and utterly committed to their goals. That combination made them perhaps the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. The treaty was signed that day. Peace was declared. Trade routes were established. Cultural exchange programs were initiated. Everything that happens when two civilizations decide that cooperation is more profitable than conflict. But underneath all that diplomatic politeness, underneath all those smiles and handshakes and tentacle shakes, there was an understanding. A very clear, very explicit understanding. Do not push humans too far, because if you do, they will not run. They will not hide. They will not beg for mercy. They will smile, arm their fusion cores, and invite you to die with them. And they will mean it. I retired from military service 2 cycles ago. I now teach xenopsychology at the Quellan Academy for Advanced Studies, where I specialize in human behavior and strategic thinking. My students often ask me the same question. Why study humans? They are a relatively young species, technologically inferior in many ways, not particularly numerous, and they only control a small section of the galaxy. Why waste time understanding them? I always give them the same answer. I tell them about Captain Marcus Reeve. I tell them about the Veridian corridor. I tell them about the day our entire battle group, 12 ships strong, retreated from a single damaged frigate because we finally understood what we were dealing with. I tell them about a species that turned self-destruction into a weapon, that made dying a strategic advantage, that forced the entire Quellan Empire to rewrite our military doctrine. And then I tell them this. In all my cycles of studying warfare tactics and strategy across dozens of species, I have learned one universal truth. The most dangerous opponent is not the one with the biggest guns or the strongest shields. It is not the one with superior numbers or better technology. The most dangerous opponent is the one who has nothing left to lose and is willing to take you down with them. Humans are always willing to be that opponent. Always. And that makes them the most dangerous species I have ever encountered. So yes, study them, learn from them, respect them. And for the love of all that is sacred in this universe, do not ever give them a reason to aim a fusion core in your direction and smile. Because that smile, that calm, peaceful, absolutely serene smile that Captain Marcus Reeve gave us that day, that is the last thing you will ever see. You are still here? Good. You have heard the beginning, but you have not heard the truly frightening part yet. Sit down. Pour yourself another drink if you have one. You are going to need it. Where was I? Ah, yes. The Academy. Teaching young Quellan officers about the terrifying creatures we call humans. But my story does not end with retirement and lectures. Oh no. The universe has a sense of humor, friend. A dark, twisted sense of humor. And it decided that I had not quite learned my lesson about humanity yet. 2 cycles ago, I was invited to participate in something called the Interspecies Strategic Defense Initiative. Fancy name for a fancy program where different species share military intelligence, coordinate defenses, and generally pretend we all trust each other. I was assigned as a liaison officer, which meant I got to attend a lot of meetings, read a lot of reports, and drink a lot of stimulants to stay awake during presentations. The humans sent their own liaison team. 5 officers, all veterans of various conflicts, all supposedly experts in their respective fields. The team leader was Commander Patricia Okonkwo, tall for a human, dark skin, hair pulled back in what they call a bun, and eyes that could cut through blast shielding. She had served on 17 different ships during her career, survived 4 major engagements, and earned more decorations than I could count. On paper, she was impressive. In person, she was absolutely terrifying. Our first meeting was in a conference room on Station Harmony, one of those neutral zones where everyone can gather without feeling like they are on enemy territory. 7 species represented, 12 liaison officers total, all of us sitting around a large table trying to look important and professional. The station commander, a Thalix named Gorvan, started the meeting with standard pleasantries. Welcome, thank you for coming, we are all friends here, blah blah blah. Then he got to the actual agenda. We are here to discuss coordinated defense against potential external threats. Specifically, the possibility of incursion from the outer reaches. The outer reaches. That got everyone's attention. The outer reaches are where all the scary things live. Pirate fleets, rogue AI colonies, species that make Quellans look friendly and cuddly by comparison. Nobody goes to the outer reaches unless they have a death wish or are running from something worse. Intelligence suggests, Gorvan continued, that several raider clans have unified under a single leader, someone calling himself Warlord Krath. He commands approximately 40 ships, all heavily armed, all crewed by various criminal elements and displaced warriors. They have been hitting outlying settlements, taking resources, slaves, anything of value, and they are moving inward towards civilized space. 40 ships, one of the other liaisons said. A Dorvan, I think. That is a significant force. Indeed, Gorvan agreed. Which is why we need a coordinated response. If they strike one of our systems, we need to be able to call for assistance from neighboring species without going through 6 layers of bureaucratic approval first. Makes sense. Standard Defense Pact stuff. We spent the next 2 hours hammering out details, response times, resource sharing, chain of command during joint operations. Boring but necessary. I was starting to drift off when Commander Okonkwo spoke for the first time. Has anyone actually tried talking to this Warlord Krath? She asked. Mew. The room went quiet. Gorvan's facial tentacles twitched in what I recognized as confusion. Talk to him. He is a raider, a criminal. What would be the point? The point, Patricia said calmly, is understanding his motivations. Why is he raiding? What does he want? Resources? Territory? Revenge? If we know what drives him, we might be able to negotiate instead of fight. A Krell officer, one of the warrior caste, made a sound like grinding rocks. It was laughter. Negotiate with raiders? You might as well negotiate with a supernova. They take because they can. They destroy because they enjoy it. There is nothing to discuss. Maybe, Patricia said. Or maybe they raid because they have no other choice. Maybe they are refugees from something worse. Maybe they are desperate. Point is, we do not know because nobody has asked. Asking gets you killed, the Krell said flatly. Patricia smiled. That smile, I recognized it immediately. The same smile Marcus Reeve had given us in the Veridian corridor. The smile that said she had already decided to do something incredibly reckless and was completely at peace with it. Well then, she said, I guess it is a good thing humans do not mind dying. I felt my blood pressure spike. Commander, I said carefully, you are not seriously suggesting what I think you are suggesting. Depends, she replied. What do you think I am suggesting? That you want to fly out to the outer reaches, find this Warlord Krath, and attempt diplomatic contact with someone who makes a living murdering and pillaging. Exactly that, she confirmed cheerfully. See? You do understand humans after all, Officer Vorthen. The room erupted. Everyone started talking at once, arguing, objecting, pointing out the 1,000 reasons why this was the worst idea in the history of bad ideas. Patricia just sat there, still smiling, waiting for the noise to die down. When it finally did, she spoke again. Here is the thing, she said. We can prepare for war. We can build defenses, coordinate fleets, train soldiers. But war is expensive. War costs lives. And if there is even a small chance that we can avoid war by simply having a conversation, is that not worth trying? It is suicide, Gorvan said. Possibly, Patricia agreed. But I am human. We are very good at suicide missions. We have had a lot of practice. I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have let the other species argue with her. But I could not help myself. You are volunteering to die for the chance of maybe possibly avoiding a conflict that might not even happen? Yes, she said simply. Why? I demanded. She looked at me, really looked at me, and for a moment I saw past the commander, past the soldier, past the human. I saw someone who was tired of fighting, tired of dying, tired of watching people die. Because if I can save even one life, she said quietly, just one life on either side, then it is worth the risk. That is what we do, Officer Vorthen. We risk everything for the chance of saving something. The Krell officer snorted. Foolish, wasteful. Maybe, Patricia said. But it is what makes us human. The meeting ended without any resolution. Gorvan said he would consult with his superiors. The other liaisons said they would do the same. Everyone went back to their quarters to file reports and make recommendations. Everyone except Patricia, who headed straight for the docking bay. I followed her. I am still not entirely sure why. Curiosity, maybe. Or concern. Or that same morbid fascination that makes you watch a star go supernova, even though you know it is going to be destructive and terrible and beautiful all at once. "Commander," I called out as she entered the bay. She stopped, turned, raised an eyebrow. "Officer Vorthen, come to talk me out of my foolish plan." "Actually," I said, surprising myself, "I came to volunteer." That got her attention. Both eyebrows went up. "You want to come with me to meet a raider warlord in the outer reaches?" "No," I said honestly. "I do not want to at all. I think it is insane and reckless and will probably get us both killed. But I also think that if you are going to do this idiotic thing, you should not do it alone. And someone needs to be there to document what happens, for the historical record." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Fair enough. But I should warn you. I am taking a very small ship. Fast, maneuverable, minimal weapons. If things go bad, we will not be able to fight our way out." "Of course not," I said. "Because fighting is not the plan. Talking is the plan. Right?" "Right," she agreed. "Talking is definitely the plan. Primary plan, anyway." "And the secondary plan?" Oh, that smile again. "The secondary plan is we improvise and hope for the best." "Wonderful," I muttered. "I am going to die in the outer reaches with a human. My ancestors would be so proud." Patricia laughed, an actual genuine laugh, and clapped me on the shoulder the same way Marcus Reeve had done years ago. "Come on, Officer Vorthen. Let me introduce you to the Swift Mercy. She is a beautiful little ship. You are going to love her." The Swift Mercy was not beautiful. She was a courier-class vessel, maybe 30 meters long, designed for speed and stealth rather than combat or comfort. 2 crew quarters, a tiny bridge, engines that took up half the available space, and weapons that consisted of 2 small plasma cannons that could barely scratch paint off a shuttle. "This is what we are taking into raider territory?" I asked, staring at the ship in dismay. "This is exactly what we are taking," Patricia confirmed. "Big ships draw attention. Warships draw even more attention. But a little courier ship? Nobody cares about those. We slip in, find Krath, deliver our message, slip out. Easy." "Nothing about this is easy," I said. "True," she admitted. "But it is simple. Simple is good. Simple means fewer things can go wrong." I wanted to point out that in my experience, simple plans go wrong just as often as complex ones, but she was already boarding the ship. I followed, carrying my emergency supplies and trying very hard not to think about how thin the hull plating looked. We launched 6 hours later after filing a flight plan that was technically legitimate, but conveniently vague about our actual destination. Patricia piloted, her hands moving over the controls with practiced ease, and I monitored sensors, watching for anything that might want to kill us. The journey to the outer reaches took 3 days. 3 very long, very boring days of nothing but empty space and recycled air and meals that came out of packets and tasted like regret. Patricia spent most of the time reviewing intelligence reports on Warlord Krath. I spent most of the time questioning every life choice that had led me to this moment. "Did you know," Patricia said on the second day, "that Krath used to be a legitimate military commander? He served in the Thalix Defense Forces for 20 years, decorated officer, loyal soldier. Then his home colony was destroyed by raiders, the same raiders he now leads." "Ironic," I observed. "Tragic," she corrected. "He lost everything. Family, home, career. The raiders offered him a choice. Join them or die. He joined them, worked his way up through the ranks, killed his way up, more accurately. Now he leads them, and he is using them to raid the same government that failed to protect his home. So this is revenge," I said. "This is pain," Patricia replied. "Revenge is just the symptom. The disease is the loss, the grief, the rage at a universe that took everything and gave nothing back. I understand that. We humans understand that very well. Is that why you want to talk to him?" She was quiet for a moment, staring at the stars streaming past our viewport. "I want to talk to him because I know what it is like to lose everything. I know what it is like to be so angry that you want to burn down the whole galaxy." And I know that sometimes, just sometimes, all it takes is one person willing to listen to pull you back from that edge. You think you can save him, I said. I think I can try, she replied. That is all anyone can do. Try. We found Warlord Krath on the 4th day, at the edge of a debris field that used to be a mining station. His fleet was exactly as intelligence had described. 40 ships, ranging from small fighters to heavy cruisers, all cobbled together from different sources, all bristling with weapons. They were surrounding a small transport vessel, clearly preparing to board and loot. Well, Patricia said, that is our target. Time to make an entrance. Please tell me your entrance does not involve us getting shot, I said. Probably not, she said, which was not reassuring. She keyed the communications system, broadcasting on all frequencies. Warlord Krath. My name is Commander Patricia Okonkwo, representing the Interspecies Strategic Defense Initiative. I request permission to speak with you, face to face. No weapons, no tricks, just talking. Silence. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Then a voice came back, deep and rough like gravel in a mixer. You are either very brave or very stupid, human. A little bit of both. Patricia admitted. But I am sincere. I want to talk. That is all. More silence. Then approach my flagship. Slowly. Any sudden moves and my gunners will turn your ship into particles. Understood? Understood, Patricia confirmed. She guided the Swift Mercy toward the largest ship in the fleet, a massive cruiser that looked like it had been built from parts of a dozen different vessels. Mismatched hull plates, 3 different engine types, weapons mounted at random intervals. It should not have been functional. The fact that it was spoke to either excellent engineering or sheer stubbornness. Probably both. We docked without incident, which I took as a good sign. Patricia grabbed a small satchel, checked that it contained nothing but data tablets and some kind of human food bars, and nodded to me. Ready? Betty? No, I said honestly. Good answer, she replied. Let us go. The airlock opened to reveal a dozen armed raiders. Different species, different weapons, all of them looking like they had not heard the word mercy in their entire lives. They searched us thoroughly, confiscated Patricia's satchel after scanning it, then escorted us through corridors that smelled like oil and sweat and old violence. Warlord Krath was waiting in what passed for a command center. He was Thalix, which surprised me. I had expected something more exotic, more alien. But he was just a Thalix who had seen too much combat and not enough hope. Scars covered his facial tentacles, his armor was dented and patched, and his eyes had that particular emptiness that comes from watching too many people die. Commander Okonkwo, he said, his voice matching the gravel I had heard over communications. And Aquelon. Interesting combination. Officer Vorthan is here as an observer, Patricia said calmly. I am here to talk. Talk, Krath repeated, as if tasting the word. Nobody comes to the outer reaches to talk. They come to fight or flee. Which are you? Neither, Patricia said. I am here because your raids are pushing towards civilized space. Eventually, you will hit a major colony or trade route. When that happens, the combined forces of multiple species will come after you with everything they have, and you will lose. Will I? Krath asked, amused. Yes, Patricia said flatly. Your ships are good, your crews are experienced, but you are outnumbered and outgunned. This ends one way, with you and all your people dead, unless we can find another option. Another option, Krath said, such as? But such as we give you what you actually need, Patricia replied. Resources, safe harbor, legitimate work. In exchange, you stop the raids. Krath laughed, a bitter sound that echoed through the chamber. You think I am raiding because I need resources. I have resources. I have ships, weapons, supplies. What I do not have, Commander, is justice. The Thalix government failed to protect my home. They failed to protect my family. They let raiders burn everything I cared about while they sat in their safe stations and filed reports. Now I am the raider, and I am making sure they understand what that feels like. So this is revenge, I said. He turned those empty eyes on me. This is balance. They took from me. I take from them. Simple. Yes. It is not simple, Patricia said. It is a cycle. You raid, they defend, more people die, more families are destroyed, more people become raiders. When does it end? When I say it ends, Krath replied. Or when you are dead, Patricia countered. Which will be soon. Very soon. The fleets are already mobilizing. You have maybe 2 months before they come for you with everything they have. You cannot win that fight. Then I will die fighting, Krath said. Better than living as a victim, or Patricia said. And I heard that edge in her voice, a tone that said she was about to do something typically human and typically insane. Or you could live as a hero. That got his attention. Explain. Patricia pulled out one of her data tablets, activated a holographic display. It showed a region of space on the far edge of civilized territory. Empty systems, unclaimed planets, resource-rich but undeveloped. This region, she said, is currently disputed territory. 3 species claim it. None can develop it without starting a war with the other 2. But what if someone else took it? Someone strong enough to hold it, independent enough that none of the major powers feel threatened. You are offering me territory, Krath said slowly. I am offering you a home, Patricia corrected. For you and your people. Legitimate claim, recognized by the Interspecies Council. You stop raiding. We give you this region to develop however you see fit. You become a sovereign entity. No more running, no more fighting, no more cycles of revenge. And if I say no, then you die, Patricia said simply. You and everyone who follows you. We wipe you out, claim we were defending civilization, and nobody mourns the raiders. Or you say yes, you become the leader who gave his people a future instead of a funeral. Your choice. Krath stared at the hologram for a long time. I could see him thinking, calculating, weighing options. Finally, he spoke. Why would you do this? Why give raiders a home? Because Patricia said, you are not raiders. Not really. You are refugees who became warriors because you had no other choice. I am giving you another choice. Take it or do not. But decide fast, because the fleets are coming whether you are ready or not. You are lying, Krath said. No government would agree to this. They would rather see us dead. Maybe, Patricia admitted. But they have not been asked yet. Give me 1 month. Let me present this to the council. If they say no, you go back to raiding and we go back to hunting you. But if they say yes, you get your home. Deal? Whoa! What guarantee do I have that you will actually try? Krath demanded. Patricia smiled. That smile. You have my word as a human. And if you know anything about humans, you know that when we give our word, we keep it, even when it costs us everything. Krath studied her for another long moment, then he did something I did not expect. He laughed. A real laugh this time, not bitter, almost relieved. You are insane, he said. Frequently, Patricia agreed. But you mean it. You actually believe you can make this happen. I do. Do? Then I accept your deal, Krath said. 1 month. You try to get me a home. If you succeed, I stop raiding. If you fail, we both know what happens next. They shook hands, which is apparently how humans seal agreements. Krath extended a tentacle. Patricia gripped it firmly, and just like that, a potential war became a negotiation. We left the raider fleet alive, which was more than I had expected when we arrived. The flight back to Station Harmony was quieter than the flight out. Patricia spent most of it preparing her presentation for the council. I spent most of it trying to process what had just happened. You know the council will never approve this, I said finally. Probably not, Patricia agreed. But I am going to try anyway. Why? What does it matter to you if a bunch of raiders get a home or not? She looked at me, and I saw that same tiredness I had seen before. Because I am tired, Officer Vorthen. Tired of fighting. Tired of watching people die for stupid reasons. If I can save these people, if I can turn enemies into neighbors, then maybe all the other fighting, all the other dying, meant something. That is a lot of weight to carry, I observed. It is what humans do, she said. We carry weight until we cannot anymore. Then we carry it a little further. The council meeting was exactly as disastrous as I expected. Patricia presented her proposal, complete with detailed projections, resource analyses, and strategic assessments. She made a compelling case. The council rejected it anyway. Too risky, they said. Setting bad precedent, they said. Cannot reward criminal behavior, they said. Patricia listened to all the objections, all the refusals, all the perfectly reasonable arguments for why her plan would never work. Then she stood up, looked at each council member in turn, and said something I will never forget. "You are all cowards," she said calmly. "You sit here in your safe stations, making safe decisions, avoiding safe risks. But safety is an illusion. Warlord Krath is coming. His fleet is coming. And when they hit one of your colonies, when they kill your people, when they force you to send fleets and soldiers to stop them, you will spend 100 times the resources, lose 1,000 times the lives, and achieve the same result you could have achieved today by showing a little courage and a little mercy." "How dare you?" one council member began. "I dare." Patricia interrupted, "Because I am human. And humans understand something you have all forgotten. Every enemy you make today is an ally you could have had tomorrow. Every person you kill today is a future you destroy forever. You want to know why humans are successful? Why we punch above our weight? Why species 3 times our size fear us? It is not because we are the strongest or the smartest. It is because we are willing to take risks you are too scared to consider. We are willing to die for principles you abandoned long ago. And we are willing to extend our hand to enemies you would rather just eliminate." She picked up her data tablets, tucked them under her arm, and walked out. I followed, because I did not know what else to do. "Well," I said when we reached the corridor, "that went well." "Actually," Patricia said, checking her communication device, "I think it went exactly as planned." "Planned?" "They rejected your proposal. They basically called you naive and reckless." "Yes," she agreed. "But they also recorded my arguments. And those recordings will be leaked to the public within the hour. By tomorrow, every civilian in civilized space will know that their governments rejected a peaceful solution in favor of an expensive war. Let us see how long their resolve lasts when their constituents start asking uncomfortable questions." I stared at her. "You planned this. The whole thing. You knew they would say no." "I hoped they would say yes," she corrected. "But I planned for them to say no. That is what humans do. Hope for the best, plan for the worst, and never, ever give up." She was right, of course. The recordings leaked. The public outcry was immediate. Citizens demanding to know why their governments were choosing war over peace, why they were spending resources on fleets instead of development, why they were killing people instead of helping them. The council reconvened within 3 days. They approved Patricia's proposal within 6. Warlord Krath got his home. The disputed territory was granted to him and his people as a sovereign region, recognized by all major powers. He stopped raiding, settled his fleet in the new territory, and started building. Last I heard, he had established 3 colonies and was negotiating trade agreements with neighboring systems. A war that would have killed thousands was avoided because one human decided to take a risk. One human who was willing to die, willing to be called naive, willing to stand up in front of the most powerful beings in the galaxy and call them cowards. That is what humans are. That is what makes them terrifying and magnificent and absolutely insane all at the same time. I retired for real after that. No more liaisons, no more military service, no more adventures with crazy humans. I went back to teaching, back to my quiet life at the academy. But I tell this story to every student who will listen. I tell them about Captain Marcus Reeve, who went down with his ship and took us with him. I tell them about Commander Patricia Okonkwo, who risked everything for a chance at peace. I tell them about a species that treats death as a negotiating tactic, that weaponizes their own mortality, that fights with a conviction so absolute that even when they lose, they somehow win. And I tell them the most important lesson, the one that took me 243 cycles to learn. Humans do not fight to win. They fight to make sure that losing costs everyone everything. They fight to ensure that victory is so expensive, so painful, so devastating that even their enemies would rather negotiate than pay the price. That is the human way. Go down with the ship, take them with you. Make every battle so costly that peace becomes the only reasonable option. Turn death into strategy, sacrifice into weapon, conviction into armor that no force in the universe can penetrate. I am old now. My scales are gray, my tentacles are slow, my eyes are dim. But I remember. I remember the day I learned what humans really are. Not the strongest, not the smartest, not the most advanced, but the most willing. Willing to die, willing to sacrifice, willing to burn down everything including themselves if that is what it takes to protect what they believe in. You want to fight humans? Go ahead. Just know that when you do, you are not fighting an army or a fleet or a government. You are fighting an idea. The idea that some things are worth dying for. The idea that if I go down, you go down with me. The idea that peace is worth any price, even the ultimate one. Captain Marcus Reeve went down with his ship that day, in spirit, if not in body. And he took our arrogance, our certainty, our belief in our own superiority down with him. He taught us that humans are not weak. They are weaponized determination wrapped in flesh and bone. Commander Patricia Okonkwo went down with her principles. She stood before the council, knowing they would reject her, knowing she would be humiliated, and she did it anyway because saving lives mattered more than saving face. That is humanity. That is what makes them special. Not their technology, not their strength, not their numbers. Their absolute, unwavering, terrifying conviction that some things are worth fighting for, some things are worth dying for, and if they are going down, they are taking you with them. Every single time. So the next time you see a human ship on your sensors, the next time a human captain gives you that calm smile, the next time you think you have them cornered and defeated, remember this story. Remember Captain Marcus Reeve and his fusion core. Remember Commander Patricia Okonkwo and her impossible peace. Remember that humans do not surrender easily, do not break easily, and when they do break, they make sure the shrapnel hits everyone in range. They went down with the ship, and they took us with them, not into death, but into understanding, into respect, into the knowledge that some species cannot be conquered, cannot be intimidated, cannot be threatened, because they have already made peace with their own mortality and turned it into the most powerful weapon in their arsenal. I am Vorthan. I have lived 243 cycles. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species come and go. But I have never seen anything quite like humanity. And I hope, for the sake of the galaxy, that I never have to fight them again. Because if I do, I know exactly what will happen. They will smile, arm their fusion cores, and invite me to die with them. And the truly terrifying part? I believe they would actually do it. They would really, truly, absolutely go through with it. That is humanity. That is their gift and their curse. That is what makes them the most dangerous species in the known universe. Not because they are strong, but because they are willing. Always willing. And forever willing. To go down with the ship and take you with them.